going to come off the coast and try to make a run at us. Now, when it does do that Wednesday night into Thursday morning, it's going to bring some light snow to the area starting out just after midnight. Now, the amounts start to increase through the morning, but after looking at all the different computer models, some are higher, some are lower, but they are trending lower. So I'm thinking I'm going to stick with this. A coating to an inch of snow around Boston to the South Shore. There is a potential for 2 to 4 inches out there in Cape Cod and the islands. Now, that also takes into account that there may be some mixing that goes on that would lower that, but for now, I'm thinking it stays all snow with that farther south track, and that's where your, I guess, heavier precipitation amounts would be. The problem is, of course, Cape Cod is having the most issues right now with power outages and also roadways that are all clogged up, so any kind of snow would just add more to that problem. There's also some dense fog out there you're contending with tonight, a few spots that are still icy, so there's plenty to talk about in weather. And that second storm, too, it's coming up.
All right, Kevin, and tens of thousands of you are still in the dark right now as we speak. Most of those outages, they're in the coastal areas. Much of Scituate, no power. That town's still under a state of emergency. Here are the very latest numbers. NSTAR reporting 45,000 customers still without power. National Grid with 15,000 customers. They're all expecting restoration work to continue into Thursday night. Now, in that same area, our Sharman Sacchetti with goggles firmly in place. How can you forget that? Battling the elements in Sandwich on Friday. Well, now that the blizzard is gone, we can tell you the headaches are still there for those people, especially for the people who don't have power. Sharman, you are live on Town Neck Beach in Sandwich, the very same place you were on Friday. And wow, what a difference a couple of days make. You're standing in one place, which is nice to see.
It's nice to see I'm not getting blown around out here. You know, this is where I was. You saw that at the height of the storm, and there were some powerful winds coming off the ocean. And we stood here and watched as the power was knocked out to this entire neighborhood, including that restaurant just behind me. So today, Governor Patrick actually brought up the idea, again, that something we've heard in the past, about putting power lines underground and whether or not utilities ought to maybe rethink that, take another look at that. We wondered, is it even feasible? Days after the powerful blizzard blanketed the state with several feet of snow and blasted the South Coast and Cape Cod with hurricane-force winds, the power is coming back on. In Sandwich, the high winds knocked out power to most of the town. All this has the governor asking if utilities ought to take a closer look at burying the power lines underground to protect them from falling trees and debris.
It's a very expensive thing. I understand that. Or I can imagine that, but when you consider that we are getting more of these storms, greater frequency, greater severity, and the cost of cleanup and the disruption, I just wonder how that all fits in the balance.
Governor Patrick toured hard-hit towns on the South Coast, along with Congressman Bill Keating, who took aim at NSTAR for the way the company has been keeping its customers informed.
They have to do a better job as we review this, NSTAR, in my opinion, of communicating to the public. And it's not that they're not giving officials information. They're giving the same information to the officials as they are to the public. And that, for days, was, well, multiple days. And now it's an end date. That doesn't help people make decisions in their home and in their lives.
For its part, NSTAR is saying it's doing a good job. As for burying wires underground, would it be feasible? We asked them.
It's a big system. Overhead, underground has its problems as well. Certainly we underground in some areas. It has its advantages. It has its disadvantages. It would take a lot of effort, a lot of time, certainly a lot of resources, and financially.
Some wonder if it's not at least worth looking at, while others aren't exactly sold on the idea.
It sounds like a really good theory. It really does, you know.
The part of town that has underground wires now, they lose power more often than we do with our lines above ground.
Nancy Neal says she lost power for 3 days, and like so many here on the Cape, it's happened enough times that she knows how to cope.
We had hot chocolate, and I slept closer to my husband than I have for 20 years.
And so only 20%, according to NSTAR, only 20% of the town of San